Okay, people have been asking about this for a bit, so here it is. This is going to be my conversion story. It is going to be multiple parts because it's really long, but here we go. So back in the summer of 2016, I was doing this research program down at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And my program consisted of 40 research fellows. And me being the extrovert I am, the first day I went around and introduced myself to everybody. And I met this group of Muslim women. They didn't know each other before, but they just kind of congregated together because they were like, more hijabis, like, you know how it goes. So I walk up to them and, I ask them like, who are you? Where are you from? Kind of thing. And I got all sorts of different answers like, I'm from Somalia. I'm from Bangladesh, all sorts of things. But then one of them said that she was from Detroit. And I said, okay, where are your parents from? Yes, I was one of those people. I'm sorry. And she said, my parents are from here. They're from Detroit. I'm a convert. Okay, so when she said she was a convert, I was very thrown, okay? I grew up in a very small town, and in history class, when we learned about Islam, we didn't really learn that much about it. We just learned about the that there were 5 pillars. We didn't really go over what they were, but the overall premise was that it was a very oppressive religion. So I thought, like many Americans think now, that Islam was a very oppressive religion, particularly towards women. So I started asking her so many questions, and the first one was, but you're a woman, why would you convert? Mashallah, she handled it very well, and she told me it's not oppressive, and I started asking all these questions, and she answered them perfectly. And then she started telling me about Ramadan and like the deeper meaning behind the Ramadan, and I thought it was very nice. And the Ramadan had either just started or it was starting soon, so I decided to try it. So I didn't tell anybody, but I was trying to fast during Ramadan that year, and I lasted 4 days. The first 3, I didn't know you couldn't have water, and then I gave up after the 4th day because I was not good at managing my water intake, like at all. So then the next year, 2017, comes around, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to fast the whole time. Except I didn't know that it moved. So I ended up just fasting the last 2 weeks because I didn't realize it went back 10 days every year. Then 2018 comes around and I'm like, this time I'm determined. I had downloaded the prayer app so I knew exactly when it started and stopped. And during this time, my friend Massa had found out that I was fasting. And in my area, during Ramadan on Saturdays, my masjid has weekly iftars, like group iftars. So she invited me to one of those, and I was like, free food? Hell yeah. So I meet up with Massa at the masjid, and it's about 10 minutes before Maghrib, and she's like explaining everything to me. So she taught me how to say Bismillah. It's time to break the fast, and we break our fast with a date. She gives me some dates and some water. She says, okay, now I have to pray. But if you want, you can go to the gym and get the food. And I was like, you know what? I'd actually like to see you pray. This sounds interesting. And she said, okay. So she found me a spot in the back to sit and watch. And while they were praying, I can't explain it, I got this very intense feeling. When they went down into sujood, wallah, the room got brighter. My heart started pumping, and I just got this feeling that like I was in the right place in my life. So immediately after they were done praying, I started asking them so many questions, like what was it? What did all that mean? What were they doing? So I started asking them all these questions about Islam, and all of them got answered, which I loved. I had my own Quran in English, and I started reading it every day, and I was just falling so in love with it. One of Massa's friends, and now my friend Dana, gave me my first hijab that I put on in the masjid. I bought a couple hijabs for myself and some more modest clothes, and I started wearing hijab during Ramadan and a little bit after. But I was going to Lisbon for a fellowship like 2 weeks after Ramadan ended, so I couldn't wear it there. My parents were going to see pictures. So I told myself, okay, if I feel the same way when I come back, then I will convert. The whole time I was there, I just wanted to take my shahada. I was leaving the group, like going around Lisbon by myself wearing hijab, reading Quran in coffee shops. It was amazing. I came back to the US on a Thursday night and I converted the next day at Friday prayer. Best decision I ever made. Alhamdulillah.